It was the early hours of June 11, 1962, when the tranquil isolation of Alcatraz Island, the most secure prison in America, was about to be shattered by one of the most daring prison breaks in history. Alcatraz, often referred to as the Rock, was notorious for its high security measures, housing the most dangerous criminals, with the cold, treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay serving as a natural barrier against escape. But three men, Frank Morris, and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, would challenge the island's reputation in a way that would go down in history. Frank Morris was no ordinary inmate. With an IQ that placed him among the top 2% of the population, he was a man of incredible resourcefulness and intelligence. His criminal career had been marked by multiple escapes from lesser prisons, earning him a reputation as a slippery, cunning escape artist. His partners, John and Clarence Anglin, were equally determined and had grown up honing their swimming skills in the cold waters of Florida, a detail that would prove crucial. The plan to escape Alcatraz was not an impulsive act. It was meticulously thought out over many months. The trio was housed in adjacent cells, which allowed them to communicate and plot in secret. The first step of their plan involved creating a secret workshop in one of the cell block utility corridors. Each night, after the prison had quieted down, they would work tirelessly, chiseling away at the walls around the vents in their cells. The inmates used spoons they had stolen from the prison cafeteria and even a drill they had improvised from a vacuum cleaner motor to dig out the concrete, which had been weakened by the salty air over the years. They would cover their work with cardboard and paint to avoid detection during the day. The escape plan hinged on a number of complex elements coming together. After successfully widening the vents, the men could wriggle through into an unguarded utility corridor. This corridor led up to a service area above the cell block, where they established their secret workshop. Here, they crafted life vests and a raft from over 50 raincoats, stitched together using thread from the prison's sewing shop. The raft, once inflated, would serve as their only hope of crossing the perilous waters surrounding the island. As the final piece of their plan, the men created dummy heads to place in their beds, buying them valuable time when the guards made their nightly bed checks. These heads, crafted from a mixture of soap, toilet paper, and real human hair gathered from the prison barbershop, were disturbingly lifelike. If the plan was to succeed, every detail had to be perfect, and their preparations had to remain undetected. On the night of June 11, 1962, the men decided it was time to make their move. Morris, along with the Anglin brothers, squeezed through the holes in their cells and climbed into the utility corridor. In the darkness, they maneuvered their way to the rooftop of the cell block, crawling through the narrow service tunnels. The guards on duty remained oblivious, their rounds revealing nothing out of the ordinary as the dummy heads lay still in the beds of the missing inmates. The men then descended the side of the cell block, where they reached the shoreline. Here, in the shadow of Alcatraz's imposing walls, they inflated their makeshift raft using a concertina they had converted into bellows. The tide was on their side, and they launched the raft into the frigid waters of San Francisco Bay, paddling silently into the night. When morning came, the guards were initially unaware that anything was amiss. It wasn't until one of the guards attempted to rouse the men for breakfast that the ruse was discovered. Panic spread as the realization set in. 3 of the prison's most dangerous inmates had vanished without a trace. The alarm was raised, and the prison went into lockdown. The FBI, Coast Guard, and local law enforcement agencies were all brought in to search for the men, dead or alive. The investigation that followed was one of the most extensive manhunts in history. Pieces of the raft and a life vest were found floating in the bay, leading authorities to conclude that the men had likely drowned in the treacherous waters. But the bodies were never recovered, and questions remained. Over the years, the escape from Alcatraz has become the stuff of legend. The FBI officially closed the case in 1979, concluding that the men had drowned, but rumors and sightings have kept the mystery alive. Some claim that the Anglin brothers sent a Christmas card to their family years after the escape, while others believe that Morris was spotted in South America. To this day, the fate of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. The escape from Alcatraz was a meticulously planned and daring operation, one that showcased the ingenuity and determination of the men involved. Whether they survived the escape or met their end in the cold waters of San Francisco Bay, their story has left an indelible mark on the history of Alcatraz, forever changing the way we view the inescapable prison.